Peace and blessings, guys.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. We're gonna see how this works out.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Trying something new, putting ourselves out there, out of the comfort zone. Looking back at 2021, a lot happened.
A lot has happened.
Especially for us. So
Yeah, technically we moved in 2020, but it was literally like 3 or 4 days for that new year. So
yeah, I just say we moved because we moved right after Christmas. With everything that happened, it was kind of a moment of reflection, I think, for me, where I felt I needed to do more. Like, I took a whole year off from bodybuilding, and I was like, I'm not doing enough.
well, you just kind of decided to take off from your year mainly because of the stress. Well, a lot of things going on, but mainly because of stress and just to build a better foundation for whenever you do prep. So, it was for the better of things. You taking your year off and potentially taking another year off, maybe.
Yeah, more than likely. I will not be doing a show this year. But I think regardless of that decision, I think long term, everything will work out for our good. So part of things working out for our good is starting this podcast.
Yep.
Haven't thought of a name for it yet.
Nah, well, pull a Joe button or something like that. We'll just name this later.
But honestly, I'm happy we're doing it. I'm happy we're doing something together.
Yeah.
We'll
see how it goes for a little bit. We'll try it out. Yeah. I don't know how these conversations will go.
The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it is going to be put out there. But I think it not only builds, our businesses, for the endorphins and check out this guy and all of its different divisions, I guess I want to call it.
Yeah.
The photography, you're about to get back into real estate. It's a lot. And now you're doing videography.
Yeah, got to dabble. I got to show that I can do a lot of stuff. So that's why I'm setting all this stuff up, making things look somewhat nice. And hopefully somebody will ask me to do it for them.
So I'm hoping, that in all of this, putting ourselves out there in this manner, way out of our comfort zones, we're going to get to a point where it's like, I am comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. That's the best place for everybody to try to strive in, is putting themselves in uncomfortable situations to see if it's for them or show them another path to do certain things. Because most of the time, somebody will have a plan to go a certain way, and putting themselves in uncomfortable situations most of the time shows them, hey, you can also do it this way, or you can also do this. So, yeah. So,
starting out this first podcast, How deep do we want to go?
As deep as you want to go, babe. I'm here for all the conversation. I might not have too much to say, but I'll try to add in whatever input that I can.
Well, the topic that came to mind for me, you would have to have a lot to say.
Why is it me that has to have a lot to say?
Because it's talking about me.
Okay.
And how you've dealt with my struggles with depression and anxiety.
It's not a lot of input for me. I just stood by. I did my husband duties.
But you weren't always my husband.
But still, from the very beginning, I've always pictured and planned for this. So I had to play. No,
Okay, let me set the scene. Okay, so we met in college.
Yes.
2007.
Yes.
We dated, and
if you want to call it that.
Well, what do you want to call it? Because I'm still standing firm that we were not in a relationship.
Deep.
So
yeah.
I'm still standing firm on that. I don't care what you say. I'm Southern. You didn't ask me to be your girlfriend. So I was free to do what I wanted to do, just like you was free to do what you wanted to do. And I'm standing on that.
Okay.
Very firm in that. Mm-hmm. That being said, we went our separate ways. But I feel like we were real close. You were probably the only guy, that I kind of kept in touch with that I dated. Not that I have anything against any of my, well, maybe one or two I do, but for the majority, I get along with all my exes. But you were one where I was like, we were cool on a deep friendship level that we kind of wanted to ensure we stayed in each other's lives. Mm-hmm. I know for a period we kind of cut things off because our partners at that time thought we talked too much. Mm-hmm. So we took a break from each other per se, which I think was a healthy thing to do looking hindsight. We got to learn more about ourselves and build character is what I'm going to call it, from those experiences. But we did end up crossing paths again, and which eventually led to us dating again.
Yes.
This was right before I moved to Virginia. And when I moved to Virginia in 2012, 2013, I hit a very dark place. I was by myself. My uncle lives in Richmond, but it wasn't like he was 10 minutes away. And I didn't want him seeing me in that state of mind. I felt isolated from like my best friend. I had basically had a falling out with my sister, and we were so close. And me and my brother were close, but we don't talk like that. And I didn't want to tell my parents what was going on because of what was going on. Yeah. So I hit a dark place that eventually led to cutting, which I thought was like, hey, not that bad because I ain't attempting suicide. Even though I was having suicidal thoughts, I was like, I'm not acting on it. I use cutting as a reminder of, hey, pain is temporary. And for whatever reason, in my head, that was a okay thing because I wasn't attempting suicide. Mm-hmm. I was hurting myself for a reminder to try to help me snap out of it. I was kind of told, like, hey, there's always someone worse off than you. Mm-hmm. I had a roof above my head, food on the table, a good paying job, like loving parents, but I still felt like crap. So in my head, I was like, I have no reason to feel this way. Ashley, you need to snap out of it. So that in turn started the cutting. Don't know what prompted me the first time I ever did it. I just know after I did it the first time, I just kept doing it. So at that time we were talking, and I don't think you knew off gate what was going on, because I made sure that my cuts weren't visible. Then I think I drove to visit you, and we had got into it. It was either we had got into it. Yeah, this was when you were staying in North Carolina. I think we had got into it. It was either before, and it prompted me to just randomly, in a fit of rage, drive to North Carolina, or it was while I was already there and we got into it. Either way, we got into it. And it was like I was struggling with being super sad because we weren't in a good place, and then being super angry because of what was going on. Mm-hmm. And I kind of broke while I was there, and I think I ended up cutting while I was there.
At my house?
Yeah.
See, I think during the time, I never really got a full understanding of everything that was going on. until like later on in our relationship. So I might have been blind at the time to. I mean, I knew you may have been struggling with some things, but I guess I never knew the full extent or understood the full extent of things until like way later on in our relationship. I don't think well, in that part of us just starting talking again, I knew the full extent of things. But yeah, I wouldn't have known that you had started cutting then at that moment in time.
Well, I think that was the first time, one, I did it while you were in the like vicinity. And two, I think I did end up telling you because I think like you went to lay on me. It was something and I kind of jumped because it hurt. And I think I finally ended up telling you why you couldn't lay on me.
Okay.
And that was the moment that you found out that I had been cutting.
Okay.
I know you got angry. I do remember you.
Yep.
And let me tell you, folks, it's not good to cuss your girl out after she tells you that she has been cutting. Just saying.
I am not. I mean, the person that I was at the time wouldn't have known how to handle anything.
And that's what I'm saying. So that is kind of what I wanted to dive into. Okay. It's like you have progressed from the time you found out I was struggling, you not knowing nothing about like really what depression is. You know it at, face value. Oh, people get really sad. That's probably, and me, I don't want to make you seem unknowledgeable. That's not what I'm trying to do.
You got it right.
But a lot of people that I have met in my life, unless you suffer from it, it's hard to understand because it's one of them things that...
Well, I mean, I guess growing up, it never was as prominent. Well, okay, I'm pretty sure it was just as prominent with everybody growing up and having to deal with it, but I don't think it was a main focus of society like it's been over the past like 5 to 7 years. I think over the past couple of years, it's been hammered down with everybody. Hey, this is an issue. These are things that people are growing up and struggling with. We need to double down and start taking care of our mental health because it was just more of a physical health thing. As long as your body's good, you should grow old and be good. But like I said, over the past couple of years, it's been discovered that, hey, we got to take care of our minds at the same time.
I don't think it's been discovered. I think it's more... It's not as much of a stigma as it used to be. Like to say, hey, I suffer from depression. It wasn't like my parents, my grandparents. That was one of the things you just don't talk about.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting. I think it's the society itself just moving away from viewing it as, hey, this is something that's super detrimental to your life and could affect you. You shouldn't want to be labeled this way. Whereas now it's just like, it's okay to be labeled this way. Let's take care of it. Let's do something to help out. Let's talk about things. Whereas before, like I said, everybody just tucked away everything. Everybody wanted to deal with everything internally. Going to a therapist was frowned upon. Like, girl, what's wrong with you? Type of thing. Like, why you got to go see a therapist? Whereas now it's like everybody should honestly be going to see a therapist, especially in everything that's been going on the past like 2-3 years.
So, and to kind of piggyback off of what you said as far as labels, that was one of my biggest things. Yeah. I did not want a label on me. I did not want to be put in a situation where somebody would label me. I would not admit to others that, hey, I'm struggling. Because on top of the stigma, me and my therapist kind of talked about it. It's the image that I have of what I should be. And in my eyes, I'm a woman and I'm Black. So I should be strong. Yeah. In every situation, I should be able to hold myself to a certain standard, because I'm not gonna lie, I was raised where, as a black woman, you have to work harder to get what you deserve.
Yeah.
And so depression
I still don't
wasn't
think
part of that image.
Yeah, and I still don't think understanding it actually changes what it actually is, but definitely as a black woman, you have to work harder. I think it's like 2 times or 3 times as hard just to get the same pay as maybe the equal white male counterpart.
Yeah, and
like
it's the stereotype, and breaking those images and those stereotypes, because even, and I mean, this was what, maybe 3 years ago. I was working with a black man, and we had a disagreement. I kept it very professional, and finally, when I met him face to face, because I was like, hey, we need to talk this out, because I can't work like this, especially when me and you have to work together. And so we sat down and met, and he legit told me that he misread my email, because, again, this is where, you read in something.
he took the tone of something else.
He took the tone of and he told me he took the tone of the angry black woman. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
So even though I would not have said, when I said the email to him, the way that I wrote it, it was completely night and day of how he perceived the email. So it's still going on even now, where there are certain stereotypes that are just hard to break. But at least I do see progress with mental health, and it's easier for me to talk about now. Granted, I will admit I probably only became super comfortable talking about it maybe 3-4 years ago. Where like, hey guys, I'm on camera. I'm in my blogs. I'm sitting here talking about, I suffer from major depressive disorder.
And like I said, I think that's just society itself. Just is like, hey, it's okay to see a therapist, and it's okay to do certain things. Over the past couple of years, I guess for me, my learning experience over the years, I've learned the most, being married to you, which is perfectly fine. And I'm glad that I'm gaining the knowledge that I am. But you learn inside your marriages as it is anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, like I said, me being the super reactive person to it and overreacting, because my understanding of it is, if somebody was to find out about that, one, they would look at you a certain type of way, and I didn't want you to be labeled at the same time as crazy or something like that. But everybody deals with their situations differently. Going from one to that, I know I had I tried to be the understanding reaction, because I think with me, it was just like, we're going to try not to do it. Because I think for me, it was hard being the only person that was actually knowing of all of this, really, like of every single thing. I think it was just hard for me to carry that burden. And I think me being the dumb person that I was doing the threatening thing, like, hey, if you do this again, I'll let everybody know, type of things. And I think that was mainly just because you were struggling with more than just that, though. Like, you were having suicidal thoughts at the same time and other type of thoughts going on. So it's like, I didn't want it to get to a point one day I'm actually finding you and you doing something really, really bad. So I'm like, that's the only reason why I came off as a threatening point at the time, just because I didn't fully know how to deal with it. I was just the type of person to try to give you your space that you needed. At the same time, I didn't want it to get to a point to where it was, I wouldn't know myself if it was progressing to the point to where you actually did needed some help outside of just me. So I think that's where, I think the cutting part for me was the serious point, to where it's like, hey, this is a really borderline type thing. Can't have her continue doing this because if it gets to a point to where it's like, hey, I want to take it further, I'm not trying to get it to get there. So that's why I think I was doing the threatening thing. But luckily, I mean, over the years, it definitely progressed to get a whole lot better.
Yeah, just for the listeners, when he said it was a burden because he was the only one who knew, I only told my parents last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, moms know, but my mom didn't know the full extent. Mm-hmm. So she had a idea that something was going on, but I love my parents and they don't push me. Mm-hmm. Their way of handling things is as long as I talk to her, she's okay, or breathing, basically, I'm not going to push her. So even when they know something is off, they will wait until I'm comfortable enough to talk about it. Because I do remember one time early in our relationship, whenever you did the whole, I'm going to tell your parents if you don't stop thing. And I was going to be like, I'll just tell them myself because I don't think I'm going to ever stop this. I called my mom. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. I called my mom and I was like, hey, I did my normal, what you doing? And
just bring it on as a casual conversation.
Yeah, I tried to come in casually. But then it was like just the thoughts of me telling her, I got overwhelmed and my voice started to crack because I was kind of holding back tears. And I was like, I need to tell you something, but I don't know how to say it. And I think she said something along the lines of, then you're not ready to tell me. And she said, don't try to force yourself to talk about something you're not ready to talk about. You'll tell me when you're ready. She was like, as long as you don't stop being you and you're okay, I can wait.
Your mom's so awesome.
I know, I love my mom. My mom and my dad, one day I'm going to get them comfortable enough to like have a sit down. Because they be talking like some deep stuff. Yeah. And it's just like a movie moment when I talk to them a lot of times. Because it's just like, man, that was so good. I should have wrote that down. But yeah, so they've always been very supportive and dropping words of wisdom always. And so I actually felt a sense of relief. Like, okay.
Just that moment, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, again, I have this image of being the golden child, with no offense to my brother and sister. I'm the youngest for those who don't know me. I'm the baby. But I was scared to do everything basically. So I barely got in trouble. When I did get in trouble, it was for like small things like talking in church, stuff like that. And not to say I wasn't mischievous. I'm gonna be honest. I just didn't get caught, but I didn't do nothing major. So I had this image in my head that I'm the golden child. In college, I was raped. Even to this day, it's hard for me to call it rape simply because, again, I have this image in my head. And that image in my head was I should have been the girl, fought back, screamed, yelled, when in actuality I froze. So their golden child being raped in college is now having suicidal thoughts and suffering in silence with depression, being overwhelmed by her anxiety, locking herself in her closet, trying to get it together. And she can't talk to me. That's all I was thinking about. Yeah. And so whenever she was like, it's okay, you'll tell me when you're ready. It was like, okay, they're not labeling me. They're not putting me in a situation. And I didn't blame you for the whole threatening thing. Oh, no. Because I knew you were doing it because you cared. Yeah. And you didn't know how else to handle it. Yeah. I didn't know how to handle myself.
Again, I just didn't want it to get past a certain point. That's what I said. It's never, I will never know, even though you might tell me certain things, I will never know the full extent of anything that's going on only you experiencing it would know the full extent. So I wouldn't know when for you something would surpass something that you would deem you couldn't be able to deal with, I guess. So I just never wanted it to get past that point. I would always try to be there for you, listen to you, and try not to be a dude and like try to fix everything. I would try to just listen, but of course my natural habit is to try to fix everything going on. And me being in a relationship over the past couple of years, I've learned I can't do that every single time. So I guess that's another struggle that I've had to deal with. It's just like I deal with things a certain type of way, so I try to implement that on you. It's not going to work the same exact way for you. Like the same thing I do to cope with things that I might be going through, it might not work the same way for you. So
Right.
everybody has to deal with things in their own type of way. Like I said, the whole threatening thing, like I said, it was just since I didn't know the full capacity of what was actually going on. That was my only way of saying, hey, I know you don't want people to know about this, but I could have just said it that way. But I don't know, you don't want people to know about this, but like I'm not sure exactly what I can do for you anymore. So I think we should get other people involved. And I just wasn't coming off that way saying it. I was being a dick and an asshole. But again, learning over the years to deal with certain things a different type of way and talk. I mean, it's communication. We've been getting better with our communication over the years. So
Yeah, I agree with that. So we definitely have came far. What were your thoughts though? Like when you found out how, I guess, serious it was and you not having experience, like, did you, I mean, granted, I'm not going to say, do you regret being with me, but did you want to break up with me?
No, I wouldn't say I wanted to break up with you. It was just like me being a dude it was always the moment of what can I do? What can we do to fix this? Like I was always in the fix mode. So it's like, and dudes always thinking that, they can be the superhero of a situation. It's like, we can get through this. I can basically just teach her to do this, and this. Is like, again, I was just always trying to fix things at the same time. It was never a moment like I wanted to leave. I guess during our other learning processes, I've dealt with somebody else before who had, depressive issues. So it's like, as long as, I guess me dealing with that same person at the same time, it's like, as long as you've been there for the person, y'all can make it through it. So I've never been the person like, hey, this person's going through some things I can't deal with, let me leave. I've never like ran from any type of challenge. It's more of, I was just trying to fix situations. Anytime the situation presented itself, I would do things like the threats or just let you talk it out. Some of the things I might have done might have been positive. Some of them might have been negative. It's just, I was just trying to do what I can just to try to get through the moment and let it pass, or we'll tackle it at another time. Sometimes it would still linger. Sometimes it would just pass and we can just move throughout the day, or I don't know. It's just different ways of dealing with different situations.
Look at you.
What?
I'm so proud of you.
Why?
I do feel that it was unfair to put you in that situation, but at the same time, there was a level of trust.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's unfair.
Well, that's just how
especially
I feel.
Yeah, especially since, like I said, we're working toward, an end goal in our relationship. So it's like, I would probably see it as, well, he don't know now. He knows now. What he gonna do about it? He better deal with this. He better find a way to make it work. So that's how it was. I wouldn't look at it as a burden to me or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's one of my biggest issues is I don't reach out to people when I'm having a moment because I don't want to burden.
It's because you hate people. I don't see.
No,
you hate people so much. Like,
hate is such a strong word. I dislike the majority of the human
At the same time, like I said,
population.
you have friends that like are super like pro mental health.
No, and that's what
you
I'm
have plenty
saying.
of people
I
you can
have
look out
opened up
for, but
more now.
you don't talk to them because you feel like you don't want to burden them with your things that you have going on. And I promise you, if you would, I can't speak for anybody else. I'm pretty sure most of them though would be like, "Man, girl, call me up, man. We can talk about it. I'll let you know some things. You let me know some things."
Talking on the phone.
Oh my gosh. You gotta FaceTime them then or something. You can't. Well, yeah,
I usually text.
You can't text. 'Cause
Paula
your
is really good about. She don't
had-
care. She'll just video.
You just had your whole email situation though. You can't really take a text. How serious can you take a text message when you're saying, "Hey, I'm going through some things."
Yeah, and that's exactly why I
emotion
prefer a text.
You can't get any
I
emotion out of
don't
that, though.
want to give emotion. But like I said, certain people like Paula, who has, that'd be another thing to talk about, because I have categories of best friends. So, like I have my elementary school best friend, Maddie. I have my high school best friend, Triana.
Okay.
My college best friend, Candace.
Do I even
And
know
then
your
my
elementary
adulthood
school
best friend is basically Shantae and Paula.
Gotcha.
Now, Paula, she will go out of her way if she even senses something is wrong. Girl. And calls me on Duo, and
But she'll even let you know through a long text message, and then if it just gets to the point to where you still got questions, she'll be like, "All right, cool, we talking."
yeah, and Shantae knows, like, she knows I hate talking on the phone, so she will send me 4 paragraphs of text to try to help me. But, and like I say, it's certain people I am now comfortable reaching out to, especially with my new therapist, Dr. Greer. Hey, girl. She kind of called me out on my BS and was like, "So you're not even giving your friends the opportunity to say whether or not they are capable of talking to you."
Yeah.
She was basically telling me I wasn't giving my friends the opportunity to say whether or not they were in the mental space to talk to me about my problems, because I am a firm believer that if your cup is empty, you can't give me anything from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So I can't come to you with my problems if you are completely overwhelmed with your own problems.
Yep.
So I just assumed that everybody was going through stuff and didn't have time or wanted to be bothered with things that was going on with me, because half the time I didn't understand it anyway.
Yeah.
To this day, that's one thing about depression that a lot of people who don't go through it don't understand, is that I can be fine on Monday, happy, laughing, productive. Tuesday I wake up and I'm struggling to get out the bed.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why.
Oh, that's me all the time.
I just wake up and I'm like, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
So it's hard when you can't explain it. And then I'm reaching out to you like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong. And it's even worse whenever people think I'm choosing to be that way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not choosing it. I literally woke up like this and I can't snap myself out of it. And another big talking point from my therapist is that I have to allow myself to actually feel the emotion, which I cannot stand doing. Who wants to be sad? My viewpoint is I acknowledged it. Dang, I'm having a depressive episode. Okay, snap out of it.
No.
And she's like, no, you have to allow yourself to feel it, because fighting it is going to make it worse, which makes no sense to me. But she's the one with the degree, so I have to listen.
Well, at the same time, I can understand a little bit, because if you don't know, I guess, how it feels to be inside that moment, you won't know how to get yourself out of it. You'll just try to fight other emotion that comes along during that process. If you don't allow yourself to sit into that moment and actually process it, you won't know how to get yourself out of it. Or it'll just pass it off into the next moment, and it'll just keep piling up and be a whole episode of all your emotions just crashing onto you at one time. So it's like better to deal with the situations when they come along. Go ahead and feel whatever's going on so that you can be able to get out of it in your own type of way.
Yeah. Recently, I'm trying to do better with that. Still struggling. I'm working on it, Dr. Greer. But it's very hard to allow myself to be extremely sad when I am fully aware of where I came from, where I am, what we built, like moving to Texas, getting this house, like everything that we have done. I'm like, I have no reason
to be sad. Yeah.
So it's hard to allow myself to try to feel. Who likes feeling emotions, first of all? Like, yeah. But anyway, well, I want to thank you for sharing your experience with not only me, but the world.
Oh, the world, Craig.
Add echoes, world. So jumping into lessons, because like I said, we've grown so much from the time we met, dated, seriously dated, marriage.
Yeah.
So as we kind of mentioned in the beginning, we did a lot in 2021.
Yeah, we did. Did a lot.
So I kind of want to discuss, as far as based on everything that we experienced and did and had to go through, what our most important lesson was. Because I feel like you learn a whole bunch, but there's always something that stands out to you, like, dang. For me, one of the most important things that I learned is I have to be willing to break away from what's near and dear to me sometimes. So moving to Texas, it was a very hard decision because I'm a family person. Outside of my uncle, hey, Uncle Freddie and Aunt Janet, who lives in Richmond, basically my entire family is in North Carolina. Oh, and there's Darren, my cousin. He lives in Hawaii currently. But outside of those two, everybody's in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So moving here, yeah, we knew a couple of people. Literally a couple. Two. In Texas. They live an hour away. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, do we really want to do this?
Yeah.
Do I really want to be that far away from family where I can't jump in the car at any given time and drive 5 hours and be good?
Me being me, I was all down for it when the opportunity presented itself. I was all down for moving out here. Every time that we actually came out here to visit, we had a good time, regardless of the situations of the other two people now. But we had a great time coming out here. I feel like we just needed that change because we were like super comfortable in Virginia. I know me personally, just my side of things, but I hated it when you like didn't want to move away from Virginia because of how the situation presented itself when you had got laid off first time. Literally, you getting laid off, 1 week, and literally by the next week, you having a new job. I felt that made you like super comfortable. And
there was definitely job security in Virginia. I knew I feel like I would never have to worry about finding a job in Virginia.
And moving away from there, I think, was probably the best opportunity. Well, I ain't gonna say the best opportunity because there's plenty of other opportunities. But one, it was the cost of living out there was just ridiculous. But two, I think it just puts us in a better comfortability just with the world, moving into an entirely new area and being able to still strive and be better than we were in Virginia. I feel like it sets in a new comfortability with you.
It's a new tone, for sure.
And it's just like, hey, things aren't that bad, even when we go out to take a time. We take the risk to go somewhere else that we know nothing about. I liked it, just because I know the whole job security thing is like somewhat a myth in certain places, but I don't know. I just didn't like that, though. But I'm glad we did.
Definitely, that was the biggest point. I could see why you felt that way, because that was a major thing for me as far as, I can be laid off. And correction, I've only been laid off once.
Well, I knew you was only laid off.
I know the way you said it, it made it sound like I was laid off more than once.
No. Okay.
And that was like when I was first brought on and they decided to close the building I was working in within 3 months of me starting. But not going to get into that. I had built up a network and name for myself where I knew I could easily be picked up. And I'm not going to lie, I was super comfortable with that.
Yes, you were.
When I started having issues on one of my teams, I was ready to move on. I easily talked to a couple of managers, and within a few months, it was like, yep, I'm leaving, deuces.
Yeah, so, I think in certain professional settings, though, that's just like, as long as you establish, I think you can do that anywhere. As long as you establish yourself as like a good person, a good worker in certain lines of business,
it wasn't the fact that I didn't know that. I know that I can build a network anywhere. Keeping in mind, I don't like people. And I'm an introvert.
Yes.
So it's already semi-hard for me to talk to people. So having to start basically ground up again was like terrifying to me.
Me and Deanna trying to break that wall down because we're trying to introduce you to a lot of people. A lot of people like you. You found that out. They're all the people we've met now. A lot of people like you. You've gotten comfortable with a couple more people. So you gained some more friends. I
have gained some Texas friends. Yes, that is true. I'm still not in a place where I'm willing to drive an hour to see said friends, though. I haven't gotten there yet.
You cannot.
Except for Deanna, because she cooks for me.
Oh, my gosh.
She knows the way to my heart.
This bitch only come over here to get some damn food all the time. That's the only reason why she don't even come to see me, just me. She just wants some food.
No, she likes my company like I like hers, but she adds some flavor by feeding me. Those incentives work just like at my job. Yeah, you can pay me my salary, but then you give me a bonus on top of that? Absolutely. I'm coming to see you. So I'm happy with the relationships I have created moving here, as well as the ones that have grown stronger, like with Quee and Deanna, because I didn't hang out with them as much in college, but I definitely hang out with them now.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing, definitely moving here. But the main reason I kind of didn't want to move was family. Yeah, that was like my one of the
biggest things. Yep.
Huge thing. It
was a big thing for me too. But I know it was a super big thing for you because you're more family oriented than I am.
It took me having to sit down with my parents and like kind of talking through it. And basically my mom was the one that convinced me to do it, because she told me a story about when she was younger. She had an opportunity to move to DC with my great uncle, and he was going to allow my mom and my sister to live with him while she worked, do her nursing thing there, and she wouldn't have to worry about nothing. Mm-hmm. He was fully supportive of her dreams and wanted her to conquer, so he was willing to work with her to make it happen. but she was scared to go because of the same reason, family. And she said that's probably the one regret. Well, I'm not going to say regret because I'm here now.
Yeah.
But it's one thing she thinks about. Like if she ever thinks back on something, that's one of those things of what would have happened if I had went. How would our lives be different? Of course, I witnessed this because she wouldn't have met my dad, but I mean, that's depressing in itself. But it gave me something to think about, and I was like, man, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to hit my 60s and be like, dang,
regretting
man,
decisions you didn't get to make.
Watching freaking all the home owner shows and what's their name? Why is it leaving me? Chip and Joanna.
Oh.
Watching them build houses and flourish in Waco and all of that.
Yeah.
And me looking at the TV, because that was one of before Deanna that moved here, I always said it looked like living in Texas is legit.
Yeah.
They made it worse when their show came out. And I'm like, dang, man, I need a house in Texas.
Everybody's moving to either Texas, North Carolina, or Georgia right now. Like everybody's moving out to the cheaper places because you get so much more for your money.
Yeah.
And that's for me one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to come out here. It's just because we weren't happy at all in the townhouse that we were in. I mean, it was plenty of enough space just for us two and the dogs that we had. Well, no, not really. I
think the dogs after we moved here, we needed a bigger house because I felt like let's be real. When we in the townhouse, there wasn't a whole lot of separation. So I felt like we argued a little bit more because we didn't have that space to kind of separate ourselves.
I mean, we did. Well, we did have these places. It was just used differently. I think like in Virginia, you used the workout room a whole lot more there than you do here. Here, you just go straight to the gym.
Because me, I don't feel like I don't have a workout room here.
Yeah, you don't have a workout room.
It's just my treadmill in the garage.
Yeah.
But we are definitely using the garage with the hail that randomly wants to fall in Texas. So there is no real converting that to a gym because I see the importance of the garage.
Yeah.
Because I don't want.
I would definitely want to build, like I said, build out the garage gym if we can. But I mean, we'll figure that out at some point.
That's a future work. But I feel like your man cave was right beside my workout room, and then
I didn't really stay in there that much either because it was a whole lot smaller than what
you have now.
I have now. I mean, I'm. Like I said,
and you didn't have you was obsessed with having windows, and you didn't.
Yeah, that window was small. The window was like a picture frame.
It was like a basement.
Honestly, it was like this
cut out. It was just a cutout.
It was just a basement. Yeah, and when we bought the house, they considered that a bedroom because of that. I was like, that's not a bedroom.
Well, like I said, and I also think this sounds ridiculous, but I didn't have a safe place there. Having a walk-in closet, I have realized is a must-have for me.
Walk-in closet?
Yeah, because in the townhouse, we didn't have a walk-in, so I couldn't sit in my closet.
Yeah.
So I would sit in the bedroom, but it was this is the bedroom. I sleep here. Yeah. I don't want to have my moments in here. And it just felt weird. I was paranoid. That's really what it was. Because in townhouse, they're connected.
Yeah.
And so
the neighborhood we lived in was perfectly fine. It was literally just probably, I think, 2 streets over from, like, the main street was literally right behind our house. And then you get your notifications from the neighborhood app and all this other type of stuff of things that's going on, like right down the street. And I wound up trying to put up the cameras and the sensors throughout the house just to make it feel comfortable. But at the end of the day,
I was just paranoid, and me being the person I am with my generalized anxiety, I always had this thought that somebody could get in the attic. So I'm like, I'm not sitting in the guest room closet and somebody be living upstairs.
Yeah.
And so I was just mad paranoid. Like, even whenever, like, you went on trips or...
Townhouses ain't for us.
When you went on trips or went to hang with friends, whatever. I hated being in that house by myself. I
bedroom
literally would move the side table when me and the dogs went to bed, because they was going to sleep with me if you weren't there. Because at least they would bark and let me know somebody was around. I would still push the side table against the door and lock the door before I went to bed.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was super paranoid in the townhouse. Here, I'm a little more chill. I'm not as bothered.
Yeah, the neighborhood is...
And it wasn't like we were in a super bad neighborhood. I was just paranoid.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I could hear everything.
Townhouses, we just found out that it's just not for us. I mean, the townhouse is designed a little differently maybe, but honestly, it just felt a whole lot more compact there. For what we were paying and what we were getting, it just didn't feel the money that you were making.
It wasn't worth it.
Yeah, everything didn't feel worth it there where we were living.
That's one thing I do feel like we rushed with, because I was so ready to get out of an apartment. And I mean,
I think that's kind of my fault at the same time, because me having the real estate mindset, I didn't want to keep renting. I don't like renting because you're putting it. I see that you're putting your money towards something that you can't really reinvest into something else. Like the money that you're paying is not really an investment. Like you're just renting wise. I mean, you're paying for the security of like, if something goes wrong, you don't have to take care of it. They'll take care of it for you. But me being the way I was raised, it's just like, I want to put my money towards something so that later on it's just an investment and we keep reinvesting our money into other things. So I kind of push for us to go ahead and move into like a house or a townhouse or something, just to find something. I think the reason why we had to settle on something smaller is just because, one, you don't like driving. So we were limited on distance from work that you could actually be.
Yeah, I'm not dealing with traffic if I can help it.
And being at where we were staying, there's a lot of traffic there in the morning times. It wasn't a lot of options house-wise that you were comfortable with besides what we had found. And I think the only reason why we decided on their townhouse is because it's the neighborhood school that was there.
No, it was the lake. Shout out to the lake that I absolutely had to have and never went to.
Stayed there. How many? No, I think it was close as Marianne. You were thinking that you were actually going to be visiting her a whole lot more than you did, but you didn't. And to the lake. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't. Marion wasn't one of the factors. That was just a bonus thing. Yeah. But the lake, good schools, and the drive to work was my reasons. Oh, and like the other particulars, I was so picky about, like not having a washer and dryer. I really forgot what I was going to say because she messed me up.
The reasons why we had stayed.
I was very particular about where the washer and dryer was, whether I didn't want a galley kitchen. It was like random stuff that just was pet peeves of mine that I was picky about. But outside of that, really, because I've always wanted to have a lake house or be near water. Period.
Mm-hmm. At least we got away from that. I mean, I know you still want to.
Yeah, I outgrew that once I saw how little I went. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like if it was in Texas or somewhere warm, I would definitely have went. It was just like it was always cold, or the few times we was going to go, it started raining, and I'm like, okay, I'm not pressed to go see this lake. Where here, we've been to the lake more. Yeah, and we don't even have a lake near us. We go with Deanna. So I realized that wasn't a deciding factor when I was looking for a house after that experience.
I think our next house, if we ever move into, I think as far as size wise, I'm perfectly happy with this one. I think the only thing that we can probably better with this house is maybe another garage bay and just more land, and that's it. And that's not even like a need. Honestly, like I think house-wise, we're perfectly fine with this one, but it was a lot of reasons why we had to get out of Virginia. To me,
but I definitely learned. I felt like God was like, "Oh, that's your fear. Let me let you experience to let you know that I got this." Mm-hmm. And so when my grandmother passed away right after we moved here, I was like, I am not going to make it. Mm-hmm. Like being this far, trying to find flights and plan out the dogs. I'm like, how are we going to coordinate this?
Honestly, we're still figuring it out. We're after the first year of being here.
If y'all know anybody on Rover or anything like that y'all trust, then you can just, comment below.
In
Let us
Texas.
know. But it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Although we're still figuring stuff out, I learned last year, that was my biggest lesson, that I don't have to go home every month.
Yep.
When things happen, I can get home. So it's not as bad. Like I said, we just need to figure out the dog situation because, yeah, y'all expensive.
Yes, they are.
I'm going to take a picture of them. It's not often they're together at that.
But, yeah, I mean, getting out of Virginia for me, I think it was probably one of the best things that we could have did. Of course, Virginia, met a lot of great people there, had some great experiences. You met one of your best friends now. I met some nice people, some good people that I still try to keep in contact with. We don't talk as much because we were, we had like a car type of relationship. I think the only other people from Virginia we kind of lost base with because we had moved a couple of times in Virginia was just Irish and Trey. And that's just because we moved further away and the drive to them.
It was harder.
It was just a harder drive
to plan that out
there in Virginia than it is for the hour drive here in Texas. Because here in Texas, this is like just a straight shot on the highway. Whereas it's a whole bunch of back roads, a whole bunch of more traffic that you got to take inside Virginia.
I still don't like to drive.
You sleep half the time then.
That's why I say you're driving.
Oh my God.
I don't have to drive, so I'm totally okay with it. That was my lesson of 2021.
Oh.
What do you have anything that stood out to you that you learned?
I got 2 lessons. First lesson is COVID ain't going a damn place. That's my first lesson. No, I'm just playing. I guess my lesson of 2021 is just don't be scared of change.
Ooh, that's a good one, babe.
I think change is mainly just gonna bring across lessons that you can learn along the way, whether they're good or bad. In our case, things can be looked at as being bad. Us being farther away from family, but it brought about a lot of good things. Like you had your learning experiences just from moving out this way. We just learned a lot of life lessons coming out this way.
There's no progress without change.
Yeah.
That is a definite.
Yeah.
Because, look at us now doing a podcast and things.
Yeah, I think the second part of my thing is just is force yourself to be in like uncomfortable situations because they could actually turn out to be really great. Just because, again, this whole move here. Well, first thing for you, I guess, I'm pretty sure the whole move to Virginia was a whole uncomfortable situation. Now you're moving double the miles out this way again. Well, even more than double the miles out the way. I think it's a 17, 18-hour drive out here or a 2-hour flight. Whereas before it was just like a 4-hour drive, which is something manageable. But now it's
4-hour when you drove. Let's be honest.
Again, it's giving you a whole lot more opportunity. You make more money out this way. As far as the job offer that they gave you. And 2, we're in a much better living situation here. So now all the money.
And there's no state taxes. Just throwing that out there.
Oh my gosh! So you happy about the state tax checks? You're not going to get state taxes back now.
It's $200 added back to my check. Yeah. I will take it.
but yeah, I guess for me, just thinking about it, like I said, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Like me, I've always struggled with like believing in myself, I guess. Like it's a struggle, like knowing you're good at something, but then like actually selling yourself to other people.
You don't like putting yourself out there.
Yeah, but it's like I have to sell myself to people. Yes. That's what I don't like. I'm more of a person that likes...
Check out this guy.
Oh my gosh. I'm more of a person
Check him out on Instagram.
Wants it to put out there and like you should just want to work with me, but I know life isn't that way. So all these uncomfortable situations that we put ourselves in, I gotta start looking at things like, hey, you're good, so just go ahead and put yourself out there, and people just like you, they'll mess with you. If they don't, then they just won't mess with you. Just got to go for what you can get. So I'll be putting my website out there pretty soon. I'm trying to get it out there by my birthday, so I have 15 days. But I'll try to get my website situated and try to get business wise done. So I've already signed up to do like real estate stuff and gonna have to talk to and interact with people, let them know Marcus is a good guy to work with.
I definitely take us moving to Texas as a message to ourselves to do better.
Yeah.
We're now, I felt like last year was our, okay, get settled, figure things. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm very much a penny pincher. When I moved here, I went crazy. I was buying whatever. I'm like, I finally have an extra $200 in my check, and I'm going to treat myself. So, because I started buying shoes, I started buying like random stuff for like business stuff and all that just to try it, even though I knew I probably wasn't going to follow through. I was like, I have the money, I'm going to try it. So, where I was gung-ho last year, now I'm like, all right, I know what Texas is. I know the life I want to live. Let me plan this out.
At the same time,
where last year I didn't care.
At the same time, I would say I
just want to be more disciplined.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
We'll definitely be more disciplined. At the same time, I like the fact. I like the fact that you're actually spending the money on yourself because you didn't really buy yourself stuff like that before.
Yeah, that's why I said I was a penny pincher. Yeah. I wouldn't buy myself anything because I was always concerned about losing stuff. Yeah. Because that's the reason I started working at my company was because I was about to lose my car. Mm. I graduated with my master's, had the opportunity to go get my doctorate, Aggie Pride, and I was accepted to get my doctorate, but funding was the outlier. They were I was waiting to find out if I got the scholarship or not. And in between me waiting, I had a decision because my lease was about to be up. And
it was a lot of decision making with that process though, because I know I had put you in contact with somebody at the time that it was a whole debate when it came to your doctorate thing though, because you didn't know if you actually should do it or not, or
I was going to follow through. It was the fact that I didn't know if I was going to get the scholarship. My lease was about to be up, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my stuff because I couldn't afford storage because the company I was working for shut down. Yeah. So I didn't have a job, didn't have no money, getting behind on all my bills, and then I started getting notices like, hey girl, that car you got, yeah, that's about to come back to us. And so it was like I was forced to make a decision, and Lockheed just popped up. Yep. And God was like, I got you, girl. And I got a job, and it was like, okay, do I accept the offer or do I pursue this doctorate? Yeah. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm going to take the safe route and take this job. And then it was like after I took the job and I moved, then I got notified I got the scholarship. And I'm like, yo, I'm already gone, homie. So.
But, I mean, like you've gained you could always do it while you're still working.
No, I learned that doing thesis papers ain't for me. So that was God's blessing in disguise, because me doing a research paper just ain't it. Yeah. That's not the path that God has put me on, and I thank him for helping me realize that. But yeah, so I'm happy with where we are, excited with where we're going, and hoping we can stick to this podcast.
Yeah. I may miss a couple, and you can do them by yourself.
Nah, bro.
You might miss a couple. I don't know. We'll figure it. Why not?
Nah.
Why not?
I ain't that comfortable right now.
Release a YouTube video by yourself. What you mean?
YouTube is different. Like, it's a singular thing. Anyway, this is going on YouTube, and I'm probably going to link it on my page, my channel. We're going to make it work. Either way.
I'm excited also for the things we have coming up. Hopefully, we come up with some new things, and we can just be content creators in the year of 2022.
All right, content creators.
Yeah, okay. We need to work our way till we can get that label on our our Instagram pages. Yeah, content creator. That's the new wave right now.
Well, I love you.
I love you too, babe.
And guys, if you know us, reach out to us, give us some feedback. Let us know how this first episode went, because there is more to come, and we want to get it right, but we want to be authentic. So let us know what you think.
Yeah.
We'll be looking for it.
And if you want to ever swing by the crib and we can do this same thing again, we got 2 other mics for people to visit and do things. But if anything, we'll just keep rocking out, just me and you, until we can get this thing going.
Sounds good. So until next time, the guys are out. Deuces.